Joining us now for more on this is the author of that report, Rolf Mowatt-Larssen, Senior Fellow at the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs at Harvard University, and he joins us from Washington, D.C. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Daljit.
You talk about al-Qaeda's determination over many years now to acquire weapons of mass destruction and then to use those weapons to attack the United States. Tell us a little bit about what are you basing your conclusions on?
The principal basis for the report has been the work done by the intelligence community and law enforcement community in concert with a lot of foreign partners over many, many years. Starting actually even before 9/11, but very intense is my chronology, I hope, shows the reader, very intense efforts to uncover this activity after 9/11 that continue all the way to today.
And how far along do you think that al-Qaeda is in its efforts to acquire nuclear or chemical or biological weapons?
It's really hard to say. I think what they've invested in over their almost 15 years of effort is what I would call a high-level intent. And that means they're most interested in using the most lethal weapons, which would be a nuclear or a biological weapon that could produce mass casualty attacks. And to that end, I think most people today, most analysts believe they've been frustrated in their efforts to develop these high-end strategic weapons of mass destruction.
How good is U.S. Western intelligence? Have they, for example, been able to thwart an attempt by terrorists, not just al-Qaeda, to try to acquire weapons of mass destruction?
One of the good news aspects of my report, I hope, is to show more people that the intelligence community has done some incredible work over the last several years in thwarting their efforts to develop these weapons. And to the extent that we owe the fact that no terrorist attack yet has occurred with weapons of mass destruction, I think in the first instance you have to look at the efforts of the people in the intelligence world who have stopped it, along with, again, how difficult it is to produce these weapons. No one's saying this is easy or that the threat is inevitable. The fact is we can prevent these attacks, but it's going to take an even greater effort than we've mounted up to this point.
Years ago, we heard a great deal about the smuggling of nuclear material out of the Soviet Union. Is that still, do you think, a point of vulnerability, or are other countries more vulnerable?
I think it's always going to be a point of vulnerability, just like you have to look at every country that possesses nuclear weapons or nuclear materials as being a potential area of vulnerability. I think today the threat from the former Soviet Union is a lot less than it was in the early years after the breakup of the Soviet Union. Now we're concerned also about other countries with nuclear weapons, such as Pakistan, India, and of course North Korea, and then the aspirational countries like Iran that will only make the problem worse if more states enter the nuclear club.
And just very briefly, how worrisome is all of this to you?
I think what's most worrisome to me is that, as of yet, we still need a better focused effort on the biological and the nuclear high end. We can't forget or underestimate our enemy ability to do things like 9/11. As the 9/11 Commission said, it was a failure of imagination. We cannot let that failure occur today. My biggest worry is that we get complacent and we forget that our enemy is capable of mounting large-scale attack in the United States or other country in the world.
All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.